Clemson and South Carolina ranked in Preseason Coaches Poll, College Football 2025. Imagine stepping into a world where college football fever is reaching its peak, and with it, the release of the first major preseason poll. This isn't just any poll. It's the USLBM Coaches Poll, compiled from the insights of 67 FBS Division I coaches. And guess what? Both Clemson and South Carolina made the cut, with the Tigers landing at a respectable 6th place and the Gamecocks surprising many by cracking the top 25 at 13th. But here's where it gets interesting. Clemson was one of only 5 teams to receive a first-place vote, signaling high expectations. This is particularly noteworthy for South Carolina fans as it marks their first appearance in the preseason poll since 2014. It's a significant milestone, reflecting a resurgence in the program's fortunes. Meanwhile, the top 5 slots were dominated by familiar faces: Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, and Notre Dame. Each of these powerhouse teams received first-place votes, indicating they're considered the front-runners for the season. Now, let's talk about the kickoff games. Clemson will be hosting number 9 LSU on Saturday, August 30th at 7:30 p.m. This promises to be an exciting matchup between two strong teams. Meanwhile, South Carolina will be facing Virginia Tech at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday, August 31st at 3 p.m. It'll be fascinating to see how both teams perform in their respective opener. Here's a quick look at the full USA Today USLBM Coaches Preseason Top 25. 1. Texas. 2. Ohio State. 3. Penn State. 4. Georgia. 5. Notre Dame. 6. Clemson. 7. Oregon. 8. Alabama. 9. LSU. 10. Miami Fla. 11. Arizona State. 12. Illinois. 13. South Carolina. 14. Michigan. 15. Ole Miss. 16. SMU. 17. Florida. 18. Tennessee. 19. Indiana. 20. Where? Kansas State. 21. Iowa State. 22. Texas A&M. 23. Brigham Young. 24. Texas Tech. 25. Boise State. And this is the part most people miss. How does this preseason ranking actually impact a season? Does it influence fan support, betting odds, or even the team's confidence levels? These are intriguing questions that add another layer of excitement to the upcoming season. What do you think? Are you surprised by South Carolina's ranking? Or do you think Clemson deserves its high placement? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. 2025 Preseason College Football Rankings. Coaches Poll Top 25 Breakdown. Brace yourselves, college football fans. The 2025 Preseason Coaches Poll has just dropped, and it's already stirring up excitement and debate. Leading the pack is none other than the Texas Longhorns, who secured the number 1 spot after an impressive 13-3 record last season. Despite their strong performance, they fell to Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl Classic. But here's where it gets controversial. While Texas sits at the top, there's no clear-cut favorite for the championship. Why? Uncertainty at the quarterback position is a major factor. Let's dive into the top 5. Following Texas, we have Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, and Notre Dame. Each of these teams has its own set of challenges, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. For instance, Ohio State's Will Howard, who transferred from Kansas State, is handing the reins over to Julian Sayin, a 5-star prospect with minimal college experience. Over at Oregon, Dante Moore is stepping into the enormous shoes left by Dylan Gabriel, one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in FBS history. And this is the part most people miss. The success of these teams will heavily depend on how well these new quarterbacks perform under pressure. Georgia fans are also on the edge of their seats, wondering if Gunnar Stockton can outshine Carson Beck. Meanwhile, Notre Dame's head coach Marcus Freeman is placing his bets on C.J. Carr. A redshirt freshman who hasn't thrown a single pass in a college game. But the biggest question mark of all? Arch Manning. The third-year sophomore has shown flashes of brilliance, but his limited playing time leaves much to the imagination. Will he live up to the hype? Only time will tell. Now let's take a closer look at the full 2025 Preseason Coaches Poll. 1. Texas. 2. Ohio State. 3. Penn State. 4. Georgia. 5. Notre Dame. 6. Clemson. 7. Oregon. 8. Alabama. 9. LSU. 10. Miami. 11. Arizona State. 12. Illinois. 13. South Carolina. 14. Michigan. 15. Ole Miss. 16. SMU. 17. Florida. 18. Tennessee. 19. Indiana. 20. Kansas State. T21. Texas A&M. T21. Iowa State. 23. BYU. 24. Texas Tech. 25. Boise State quarterback continuity could be the game changer this year. Teams like LSU, Clemson, and Penn State are bringing back their starting quarterbacks, which could give them a significant edge. Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Frank Pollock, and others. And Drew Aller are not only expected to lead their teams to victory, but also to make a name for themselves in the 2026 NFL Draft. Speaking of pressure, Penn State's Drew Aller is under immense scrutiny. As the best quarterback of the James Franklin era, fans are eager to see if he can finally take the Nittany Lions to the top. Aller has shown promise, improving his completion percentage and yards per attempt under offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki. However, he's yet to deliver a standout performance in a high-stakes game. Until he does, Penn State might. Preseason Coaches Poll 2025. Michigan overrated? Clemson underrated? Breaking down the top 25. In college football's preseason rankings, there's a sense that some teams might be getting more hype than they deserve, while others are flying under the radar. A situation that tends to stir controversy among fans and analysts alike. And quite often, the initial coaches poll rankings reveal more about perceptions and narratives than about the actual strength of teams. But here's where it gets interesting. The top of the list features Texas making history by earning its first ever preseason #1 spot, narrowly edging out defending national champion Ohio State. This sets the stage. Still, some rankings warrant a second look as they reveal how subjective preseason perceptions can be. It's important to appreciate the complexity behind compiling a preseason top 25. Different voters, especially coaches or those trusted to cast their votes on their behalf, bring various motivations, biases, and expectations into their rankings. From an outside perspective, we can spot some glaring overestimations and undervaluations. For instance, Texas's lofty #1. One position might seem justified given their historical performance and talent, but some teams are being accused of being overhyped or undervalued. Let's start with some teams that appear overrated. South Carolina at #13 stands out. Their offseason hype is swelling, largely driven by standout players like quarterback Lenoris Sellers, who's seen as a Heisman contender, and linebacker Dylan Stewart, seen as poised for a breakout. While their 9-3 finish last season and a respectable bowl loss are worth noting, ranking them ahead of teams like Boise State, a conference champion, or Iowa State, which made it to the Big 12 championship, feels like a stretch. They have notable star power, but roster holes remain, especially in the wide receiver position and the defense, which has to replace key NFL draft picks. This suggests that their lofty ranking might be optimistic, but perhaps not entirely earned yet. On the flip side, some squads are undervalued, most notably Clemson at #6. Despite only receiving a couple of first-place votes, they sit outside the top 5, behind Georgia and Notre Dame. Many analysts believe Clemson deserves a higher spot because they boast a much improved quarterback in Cade Klubnik, who's projected as a first-round NFL pick with potential for a Heisman run. The Tigers also return an elite wide receiver core, have experienced offensive linemen, and a defense packed with future pros, players like T.J. Parker and Peter Woods. According to ESPN's SP Plus metrics, Clemson leads the nation in returning production, a crucial factor for sustained success, especially after winning the ACC and reaching double-digit wins last year. Moving to another popular preseason target, Michigan at number 14 might be overhyped. Their off-season momentum was amplified by wins over Ohio State, who ultimately claimed a national title, and Alabama, which created a lot of buzz. The Wolverines also managed to flip highly recruited quarterback Bryce Underwood from LSU, injecting fresh talent at a key position. However, relying on a true freshman to start for Michigan's Big Ten grind raises questions. The supporting cast is also a concern. Wide receivers aren't particularly deep. Key running backs are gone. And significant defensive players have departed for the NFL. While there's reason to believe Michigan will improve this season, a top 15 ranking could be a bit optimistic based on their current roster and developmental needs. Meanwhile, Iowa State emerges as an underrated team at number 21. They've maintained impressive consistency, logging their 7th winning season in 8 years, reaching 11 wins and making an appearance in the Big 12 championship, returning 14 starters from that squad, including star quarterback Rocco Becht and key players on offense and defense, keeps them within striking distance of higher expectations. Their challenge will be replacing a couple of wide receivers, but if transfer receiver Chase Sowell hits the mark, they could keep a potent offense alive. Another team often overlooked is Tennessee at number 18. They have fallen behind their initial 2022 peak when quarterback Hendon Hooker was a Heisman finalist, and their offensive struggles have persisted. The loss of quarterback Nico Iamaleava after spring further dims their outlook. Although Tennessee replaced him with Joey Aguilar via a surprising trade, who's still unproven, their wide receiver room is limited, and they've lost a top running back, Dylan Sampson. On defense, they have some potential but also notable concerns, including injuries and depth issues. Still, it's conceivable they could rebound, but a top 20 ranking feels a bit generous without seeing more consistency. And this is the part most people miss. Louisville at NR, unranked, could be a team to watch. Under coach Jeff Brum, who's won 19 games over 2 seasons, they might be on the verge of their best campaign yet. With a new quarterback transfer in Miller Moss and promising playmakers like Isaac Brown on offense, they could shake up expectations if their young defense solidifies as hoped. Given Brom's reputation for developing quarterbacks and maximizing talent, don't be surprised if Louisville becomes a key spoiler or even a playoff dark horse by late fall. So as the season approaches and these rankings continue to spark debate, one thing is clear. Preseason polls are more about narratives and expectations than final proof of team strength. Do you agree with these takes? Are some teams being under or overrated deliberately to sway opinions? Or is there a sleeper that might just blow everyone's minds? Drop your thoughts below. This conversation is just getting started.